All right, part 4, total daily energy expenditure calculation, and then building your own diet. Okay. So the goal up until this point is to basically convince you that everybody's got all these strategies. At the end of the day, what we need to do is figure out what our maintenance calories are. And if we want to lose, we have to create a deficit. If we want to gain, we have to create a surplus. But it all typically starts with knowing what maintenance is. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to necessarily be calculating and on point all time. This can be overwhelming for people. And in the next couple of videos, I'm going to try to make this as digestible as possible, and also describe how you really can find ways and strategies to eat that are going to allow you to lose weight or just be healthy or get stronger without necessarily having to track. Okay. But if you have a specific goal, it typically requires specific strategies to get to that goal. Over the course of a year, you can very much inadvertently just maintain a very flexible diet strategy and lose 10 pounds if that's your goal. You can also maintain a very flexible diet strategy and maintain your weight for a year. But the biggest things are, if you've implemented something like knowing what your maintenance calorie is, knowing how much protein you're taking in, knowing about how much carbohydrate you're getting, and basically just eating intelligently with some simple strategies, you're going to be a lot better off than just winging it. Winging it is why Americans gain 5 to 10 pounds every year, after the age of 30. Winging it is why tons of people gained 30 pounds during 2020 and, probably still struggling with that now. Okay. So, you don't need to know your maintenance calories, but it will take some of the guesswork out of this for you. Okay. It's just going to be a good foundation to allow you to then become more flexible. It's like knowing, how much is in your checking account and how much you can spend. It's the same general principle. We don't want to be doing anything willy-nilly, at least when we start, because if we want to get headed in the right trajectory, we need to take some things into account. Okay. It really isn't that hard to calculate this, and I'll show you exactly how you do it in the next step. It allows you to develop some flexibility over time. So how do you do this? All right. So tdecalculator.net, super simple. It's recommended by the National Institute of Health in their articles on exercise guidelines. All you have to do is go to that website, put your gender in, put your age in, your current weight, your height, and your activity level. Okay. These can be estimates to some degree. You want them to be close, but they don't have to be perfect. That information will then spit out what your maintenance calorie level is. So for me, it's about 2940. Okay. That's me at 5'11", about 205, and 33 years old. Okay. So then what I want to do is, the best way to really do this is, because protein is literally the basis of a diet. Protos in the Greek literally means foundation. Okay. So protein is the foundation of a diet for general health. And it doesn't mean you necessarily have to get 1 gram per pound of body weight, but you should try to think of that as like your big blocks first, right? So the recommendation is typically 0.75 grams per pound of body weight to 1.5 grams per pound of body weight, depending on the individual. I typically go with 1 gram per pound of body weight. And so that leaves me about 200. Okay. Not entirely perfect. You're not always going to hit your macros perfectly, especially if you're not really trying to macronutrient based diet, right? That's okay. So starting with that, and I should have touched on it here. If I want to lose a pound a week, I need to eat around 500 fewer calories per day. So I want to build my diet around 200 grams of protein. And that's 800 calories. That will provide 800 calories. Okay. So then what we do, 2,900 calories is my maintenance. Okay. So 200 grams of protein equals 800 calories. 2,900 minus 800 equals 2,100 calories. So I have 2,100 calories left to work with in my diet. So the next thing is, and I recommend this, is getting your carbohydrates. Carbohydrates have become kind of the bad guy, but they're just a fuel source. Okay. So, and they're typically better for fueling us than fat. And they're better definitely than protein. We need to get protein because protein is the building block of a lot of our tissues. Carbohydrates are our primary fuel source for our body and our brain. Okay. 300 grams of carbohydrate will equal 1,200 calories. 300 grams of carbohydrate is with 4 calories per gram will yield 1,200 calories. Okay. 2,100 calories, which is left over from already taking out my protein, minus 1,200 equals 900. So I have 900 calories left to hit maintenance. Okay. How much fat? Well, there are 9 calories per gram of fat. So 900 divided by 9 equals 100 grams of fat. That is not that much fat, but honestly, if you also actually pay attention to your fat, it can be hard to get to 100 grams of fat. It's really easy to eat like 7 scoops of peanut butter and get over 100 grams of fat. But if you're generally watching what you eat and cooking for yourself, it can be hard to get to 100 grams of fat. So it's just, this is all a lesson. It's all a stepwise process. So don't feel too overwhelmed here. Okay. So if I want to lose, I need to subtract. If I say, let's say I want to lose 0.5 pounds a week. Okay. Which is subtracting 250 calories a day or 1,750 calories per week. What I would then do is I could drop 30 grams of fat. 30 grams of fat times 9 calories is 270 calories, right? So that would take me down to 70 grams of fat for the day. But that's a little bit trickier of a strategy. It can definitely work. You just really have to eyeball your fat, right? I can drop 40 grams of protein, which would be 40 times 4 would be 260 or so, right? Or I could do a combination of macros. It honestly doesn't matter too much as long as it's implementable for you and it works for you. Okay. So the big thing to take away from this is that we need to start with our maintenance calories, which is our total daily energy expenditure. And we need to basically figure out what strategy is going to work for us. If you need help with that, let me know. The exact percentage of your diet, protein, carbohydrate, and fat, there's a lot of ways to do it. There's so many strategies that people have used. It really comes down to what you like to eat and how you want to eat. And in the next couple of videos, I will basically show how to do all this just eyeballing or not thinking it through too much. And most of that just comes down to eating whole foods on a regular basis. Eat lean protein sources, eat a lot of vegetables, some rice, some starches, a little bit of olive oil and nut butters and stuff like that. If you do that and you avoid pizza on a regular basis, tons of beer, you're going to probably lose weight if you're training on a regular basis. Okay. So this is just a starting point. This whole series is just try to help you. It's me trying to summarize like 7 or 8 books that I've read into digestible chunks for you. Okay. Let me know if you have any messages or any questions. Just drop me a message and go from there.